promise the galaxy was watching. Billions of eyes from hundreds of alien worlds turned toward a single blue planet, Earth. The Galactic Council had gathered in their shining hall of glass and light, voices echoing across the chamber as their leader raised a clawed hand. "Humans," the alien voice boomed, translated into every language at once. "You are young, you are fragile, but you are not alone. The Council promises this. Earth will be protected." Cheers rose from alien delegates. To them, it was a generous act, a sign of kindness. Earth was small compared to the empires around it. Humans had only recently built ships capable of reaching the stars. They were seen as newcomers, fragile children in a galaxy of giants. But when the Council looked at the human delegation, they found something strange. The humans did not bow. They did not cheer. They only exchanged glances with one another and smiled. That smile was quiet, unsettling. It was not the smile of gratitude, nor the smile of fear. It was something else. The Council leader's crest twitched with unease. "Perhaps you do not understand," he said slowly. "We will protect you. No harm will come to your planet. Any who dare attack Earth will face our fleets." Still, the humans smiled. One of them, an older man with iron-gray hair, leaned back in his chair and folded his hands. He did not speak. He only looked at the aliens as though he were watching a game unfold. Whispers spread among the delegates. "Why are they smiling?" hissed one reptilian envoy. "Do they not trust us?" asked another. "Or, do they know something we do not?" murmured a third. The promise was meant to bring relief, to calm a fragile species. Instead, it raised questions. Why did humans not look grateful? Why did they look amused? Far away on Earth, the news spread quickly. Screens across cities and villages lit up with the alien broadcast. The Galactic Council promises to protect Earth. Some humans cheered. Others laughed. Many simply shook their heads. A child asked his father, "Papa, do we need aliens to protect us?" The father only chuckled. "No, son, we never needed anyone before. Why start now?" Back in the council chamber, tension grew. One alien commander, tall and armored, stood. His voice rumbled like thunder. "You must understand. There are enemies in this galaxy who will not hesitate to strike you down. They see Earth as weak. They see humans as prey." Finally, the human envoy spoke. His voice was calm, almost amused. "And what," he asked, "makes you think we are prey?" The hall went silent. Alien eyes blinked. Some laughed nervously, thinking it a joke. Others stiffened, sensing a hidden threat in the man's words. "You have only just joined the stars," said the council leader carefully. "You do not yet understand how dangerous the galaxy can be." The human tilted his head. "Oh, we understand danger. We grew up with it." Another smile, this one sharper. On distant worlds, ordinary aliens watched the broadcast with growing unease. Something about the humans felt different. Other young species had begged for protection, crying with gratitude when the council promised to shield them. But these humans? They acted as though the council's fleets were irrelevant, as though Earth did not need saving. That night, when the council adjourned, many alien envoys whispered in private. Did you see their faces? They were not afraid at all. It is arrogance, it must be. Or it is something else, something hidden. The words, "the promise," were repeated across the stars, but they carried no comfort. Instead, they carried suspicion. Why? Did humans only smile? Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, beneath oceans and mountains, deep in hidden vaults, machines hummed. Vast silos locked for centuries stirred awake. Shadows of forgotten warships hidden under frozen seas began to tremble as power returned to their cores. And still, the humans smiled. The council had made a promise. But the truth, unknown to most, was that Earth had never been waiting for protection. Humanity had only been waiting for the right moment, and now, the galaxy had given them one. The hidden history. The Council's promise echoed across the galaxy for weeks. News channels repeated the same phrase. Earth is now under the protection of the Galactic Council. For most aliens, it was a simple story. A fragile world, still new to spaceflight, had been welcomed under the shield of older and stronger civilizations. To them, it was the natural order. But to humans, the story felt incomplete. On Earth, in quiet corners, people whispered. Soldiers in old war museums stood before rusted weapons and said, "They think we are weak?" Farmers laughed in the fields, remembering how their ancestors survived famine, plague, and endless wars. Old men in rocking chairs smiled at the broadcasts, shaking their heads. Humanity had always carried a strange memory, one not written in books but carved into the blood of generations. Every nation, every culture, had stories of survival, of standing alone against impossible odds, and those stories, passed down for thousands of years, shaped something the galaxy did not yet understand. In the archives of the Council, a few curious aliens began digging. They searched Earth's past, scrolling through ancient wars, disasters, and struggles. At first, they only saw chaos. Humans fought one another more than any species they had ever studied. Entire continents had burned in wars. Empires had risen and fallen like waves crashing against a shore. Savages, one alien historian muttered. Their history is nothing but blood. But another shook her head. Look deeper. Every time they fall, they rise again. Every time they are broken, they rebuild stronger. And so they read on. They saw how humans survived ice ages with little more than fire and stone. How they fought predators far larger and faster than themselves. How, when disease wiped out millions, humanity adapted, learned, and endured. No matter how terrible the disaster, the species never vanished. They are stubborn, whispered the historian, more stubborn than anything I have studied. But there were darker records. Old ruins on distant moons, carvings in languages the Council had long forgotten, mentioned a species that once walked the stars before the Council itself had formed. A species that vanished suddenly, leaving only fragments. Those ruins described them with strange words: restless, fierce, laughing in the face of death. Some scholars believed those ruins did not describe humans, but some, after seeing the Council meeting, were not so sure anymore. Meanwhile, on Earth, children asked questions. "Mother, why did the aliens say they will protect us?" The woman stirred the soup and smiled. "Because they don't know us, child. They don't know what it means to be human." In schools, teachers explained gently. The Council thinks it is doing us a favor. But history shows we never survive because others protect us. We survive because we refuse to give up. In the shadows, military leaders of Earth met in hidden chambers. They had not revealed their full power to the galaxy. The Council had only seen a few civilian ships, a few probes, a few stations orbiting the moon. But there was more, much more. The humans remembered their history well. They knew that promises from outsiders often came with chains. Protection was another word for control. And so, even as they nodded politely to the Council, they prepared. Factories deep underground continued to hum. Ancient projects, started in secret long before humanity ever joined the galactic stage, continued without pause. Back in the Council, some delegates grew uneasy. One insectoid senator tapped his mandibles nervously. "Why do I feel," he asked, "that we have not adopted children into our care, but wolves wearing human skin?" Another hissed in reply. "Do not be foolish, they are only beginning. Their weapons are crude compared to ours." "Perhaps," whispered the first. "But tell me, why do they smile so much?" In the weeks that followed, the promise of protection spread comfort across alien worlds. But whispers grew stronger. Stories of human stubbornness, of their endless wars, of their refusal to die out. These stories spread in the shadows of taverns and marketplaces. Children of alien worlds began to ask strange questions. "Papa, can humans really fight without Fear? Is it true they burned their own skies with fire yet lived? The parents hushed them quickly. But the rumors would not stop. One night, in the dark archives of the council, a scholar uncovered a forbidden text. He read by the dim glow of his datapad, heart racing as the words appeared. It spoke of an ancient war, long before the council existed. A war so terrible it nearly ended the galaxy. The enemy was never named, only described. They came from a blue world. They smiled when we threatened them. They laughed when they bled. They were the ancient ones, and they promised they would return. The scholar dropped the tablet, his claws shaking. He whispered to himself, "Humans, it cannot be." And yet, on Earth, the humans kept smiling. The council had promised to protect them. But deep inside, humanity already knew the truth. They had never needed protection, the galaxy just didn't know, not yet. The test of strength, the Galactic Council believed its promise would settle the matter. Earth was now under their protection, and that should have ended the whispers. But whispers are like fire. They spread, no matter how tightly you try to hold them. Not every species trusted the Council's shield. And not every empire was happy about humans joining the stars. Far beyond Council space, in the dark reaches of Orion's arm, a warlike species known as the Dravari gathered. They had no interest in promises, no respect for treaties. To them, Earth looked like easy prey. "They are children," the Dravari commander growled, his armor clattering as he stood before his war council. "Soft, fragile, weak. The council has spoiled them with words. Let us test them with fire." The Dravari had tested young species before. Some begged for mercy. Others hid behind the council's fleets. But all of them broke when the Dravari came. When the first Dravari fleet entered human space, alarms rang across the council. Delegates panicked. "The Dravari are moving against Earth. We must send our ships. We must keep our promise." But before the fleets could launch, a message came from Earth itself. "Stand down." The council leader blinked in confusion. "Stand down? What do they mean?" The human envoy's face appeared on the hollow screen, calm as always. "This is not your fight. We will handle this ourselves." The chamber exploded in protest. "You cannot. Their fleets are vast. Your defenses are nothing compared to them. You will be destroyed." But the human only smiled. "We'll see." The Dravari expected fear. Instead, they found silence. No pleas for mercy, no calls for help. Just human ships rising slowly from Earth's orbit, as if awakening from a long sleep. The alien warlords laughed when they saw the fleet. "These are their ships?" One sneered. "Rust and steel. Outdated designs." "They are sending museum relics to fight us," another jeered. But then, those relics moved. Human vessels broke formation with sudden precision, sliding into attack patterns the Dravari had never seen before. Their hulls shimmered, not with rust but with layered armor designed to absorb and twist energy fire. The first volley from the Dravari crashed against human shields and vanished. "What?" the commander barked. "Impossible." Then the humans fired back. The Dravari flagship shook under the blast. Weapons they did not recognize, silent beams that bent through space, tore across their shields as if they were paper. Entire cruisers blinked out in a flash of light, cut apart in seconds. The laughter in the Dravari fleet died. "Report," the commander shouted. "Their weapons. They are advanced, far beyond what we believed." Another blast ripped through their formation. More ships fell. Panic spread like wildfire. From a distance, the council fleets watched in stunned silence. "They refused our aid," whispered one ambassador. "And yet, they are winning," muttered another. On alien homeworlds, broadcasts played across every screen. Billions watched as the fragile humans faced a warrior race alone and pushed them back. No begging, no crying, no fear, only precise, brutal efficiency. But what unsettled the galaxy most was not the weapons. It was the humans themselves. Reports From survivors told of human pilots who fought with eerie calm, soldiers who laughed as their ships burned, then rammed straight into enemy cruisers to take them down, commanders who gave orders with steady voices as though the battle was nothing more than routine. One Dravari officer, captured after the battle, trembled as he spoke before the council. They were not prey. He whispered. They were predators, smiling predators. When the battle ended, the Dravari fleet was shattered. Survivors fled into deep space, their warlord killed in the first wave. Earth's orbit was quiet once again, human ships returning as if nothing had happened. The council tried to hide its fear. They congratulated the humans, praised their bravery, and repeated their promise of protection. But deep inside, the council was shaken. If humans had such power already, what else were they hiding? In a secret council chamber, leaders whispered to one another. They said they would handle it themselves, and they did, with weapons beyond anything we gave them. They are not as young as we thought. One finally spoke the words none wished to say aloud. Perhaps they never needed us at all. On Earth, people celebrated quietly. There were no parades, no victory songs, only simple nods, handshakes, and the calm knowledge that once again, humanity had survived a test. In the shadows, Earth's leaders continued their work. More ships left hidden bunkers. Old codes were unlocked. Ancient projects stirred awake. The test had been only the beginning. And somewhere, deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, a massive door slowly began to open. The first strike. The Dravari fleet's defeat should have been the end of it. The council expected humans to retreat into silence again, perhaps to thank their protectors after proving themselves once. But that was not what happened. Instead, whispers grew louder. Entire empires asked the same question. If this was the strength humanity showed against the Dravari, what were they still hiding? Weeks later, when the next threat appeared, the galaxy finally received an answer. A coalition of pirates, mercenaries, and outlaws, emboldened by the chaos, moved against human colonies on the edge of soul space. They believed the first battle had been luck. They believed humans had only scraped by. They were wrong. When the pirate armada jumped into the system of Titan's belt, they expected fear. Instead, they were met by silence. Cold silence. Human ships hung in formation like shadows waiting. At their center, something new appeared. A massive warship rose from behind Saturn's rings, its hull black as night, covered in shifting patterns of steel and light. It was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. It was not sleek like council cruisers, nor ornate like royal dreadnoughts. It was brutal, angular, built for one purpose: war. The humans called it Erebus. The pirate fleet mocked at first. A single ship? That is their answer? But then the Erebus moved, its engines flared, and the void trembled. A volley of silent missiles streaked through space, vanishing from sensors, only to reappear seconds later inside enemy shields, tearing cruisers apart from within. Before the pirates could react, the Erebus unleashed its main weapon. A beam of blue-white energy lanced across the stars, cutting an entire battleship in half with terrifying precision. The galaxy watched in horror as one ship, one human ship, shattered an armada. On alien homeworlds, civilians froze before their screens. Children clutched their parents, soldiers stared in disbelief. "Is that human technology?" whispered a council officer. "They said they were defenseless," another stammered. "They lied." The pirates tried to retreat, but the Erebus did not allow it. Smaller human vessels surrounded the fleeing ships, boxing them in. Calm voices echoed through the comms. "You came here to test us. Now you will see the answer." Human fighters dove into enemy cruisers with no hesitation, using tactics so reckless they seemed suicidal. Yet every strike was perfect, every sacrifice calculated. One pirate commander shouted desperately, "Stop! We surrender!" But the Erebus did not stop. Its beam fired again, silencing him forever. The message was clear. Humanity was not begging for survival. Humanity was declaring war. When the smoke cleared, the pirate fleet was gone. Not beaten, erased. The battle lasted less than an hour. The Erebus drifted through the wreckage like a predator, its black hull reflecting the broken fire of dead ships. Then, without a word, it vanished into hyperspace, leaving silence behind. The council convened in panic. "This is madness," cried one delegate. "A single human ship destroyed an armada." "They never asked for our help," another whispered. "They refused our protection," said a third, "because they never needed it." The council leader slammed his staff. "We must demand answers. Where did they get such weapons? Who gave them this power?" But deep inside, everyone already knew the truth. No one had given it to them. Humans had built it themselves, quietly, patiently, waiting for the right moment. Across the galaxy, fear spread. Some saw humanity as a threat to be destroyed before it was too late. Others saw them as the only force capable of standing against ancient enemies. Empires argued, fleets shifted, alliances broke, and still, the humans smiled. On Earth, hidden facilities stirred. Erebus was not the only ship. Under Antarctica's ice, beneath the deserts of Africa, in the dark oceans of the Pacific, other titans began to rise. Ships that had never been revealed to the galaxy. Ships older than the Council itself. Projects kept secret for generations. The first strike was not a warning shot. It was an announcement. Humanity had returned. That night, a human admiral stood on the deck of the Erebus, staring into the stars. His officers waited quietly for his command. He spoke at last, voice calm and sharp. "They thought they could protect us. Now they know. We are not the ones who need protection." His words echoed in the silence. "And soon," he said, "the galaxy will remember what it means to face us." The revelation. The destruction of the pirate fleet changed everything. It was not just a battle, it was a message. A single human warship had wiped out an entire armada, and then vanished into the void like a ghost. The galaxy trembled. The promise of protection the Council had made to Earth now sounded like a joke. Who was protecting whom? In the weeks that followed, strange reports began to surface. An exploration team on the desert moon of Kar unearthed ruins far older than the Council itself. On the walls were carvings of tall figures with familiar faces. They were not alien. They were human. The explorers stared in silence. "This cannot be," one whispered. "Humans did not travel the stars until now." But the evidence was there. Stone warriors with human eyes. Ships carved into walls that looked eerily like the Erebus. Word spread quickly. Scholars dug through forgotten archives, rereading ancient texts dismissed as myth. In them, a name kept appearing: the Ancient Ones. They were described as a species that fought without fear, that smiled at death, that turned battle into art. The texts spoke of their sudden disappearance, as if they had simply walked away from history. Now, for the first time, the galaxy began to ask the unthinkable. Were the Ancient Ones human? Inside the council chambers, panic grew. Delegates argued furiously. "This is impossible. Humanity is young. And yet their ruins are older than ours." "They are not newcomers. They are survivors." Some called for immediate action. "We must confront them, demand the truth before it is too late." Others whispered in fear. "No. If they are the Ancient Ones, then we must tread carefully. If we anger them, we may share the fate of those they erased." Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity watched the debate unfold with quiet amusement. They saw the panic, the confusion, the desperation in alien faces. And still, they only smiled. In a secret chamber deep beneath Washington, Earth's leaders gathered around a massive circular table. On it lay holograms of alien broadcasts, maps of the galaxy, and fragments of ancient ruins recently recovered. One general spoke first. "The galaxy is starting to remember." Another nodded. "It was only a matter of time. We can't hide forever." A scientist leaned forward, voice calm. "But we were never hiding. We were waiting. The room fell silent. Waiting. For what? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. In a deep archive hidden beneath Mars, human researchers activated an ancient device discovered decades ago. It was not built by aliens. It was not even built by modern humans. It was older, far older. When the device lit up, a projection filled the chamber. A voice spoke in a language no longer used on Earth, but one the researchers somehow understood, in their bones. If you are hearing this, then the cycle has turned. We left the stars because they were not ready for us. But we are eternal, and we will return. The scientists froze. These were not alien words. They were human. A message left by ancestors who had walked the stars long before Earth had recorded its first history. The revelation was clear. Humanity was not a young species climbing into the stars. Humanity was an old power returning to claim what was once theirs. When fragments of this discovery leaked into the galaxy, chaos erupted. Entire empires held emergency councils. Some prepared for war, others for surrender. On one alien world, priests fell to their knees whispering, "The Ancient Ones live. The cycle begins again." On another, a queen shouted in fear, "They were not supposed to come back." The council tried to calm the panic, but it was too late. The truth was loose. The galaxy's view of humans shifted overnight. They were no longer seen as fragile newcomers. They were predators in disguise, a force that had once ruled and had chosen to vanish. And now they were back, stronger, sharper, hungrier than before. In the quiet of the Erebus, Admiral Kane stood before his officers. His face was calm, but his eyes carried the weight of history. "They are starting to remember," he said softly. One young officer hesitated. "Sir, should we tell them everything?" Kane shook his head. "No, not yet. Let them fear the shadows before they see the storm." The officer swallowed hard, then nodded. The admiral turned to the stars. His voice was steady, carrying the weight of a promise older than the council itself. "We were never children," he said. "We were never weak, and soon they will understand why we smiled." The galactic panic, the revelation spread like wildfire. Every world, every empire, every trading post in the galaxy now whispered the same words. "The Ancient Ones have returned." And with those words came fear. In the council's grand chamber, voices clashed in panic. Delegates screamed over one another, claws scraping, wings buzzing, mandibles snapping. They were supposed to be young. "They fooled us all along. If they are truly the Ancient Ones, then none of us are safe." The council leader pounded his staff, trying to restore order, but his voice was drowned out. The promise to protect Earth, once a gesture of strength, now sounded like a curse. Because how could anyone protect predators who once ruled the stars? On alien worlds, chaos took root. In the shining cities of the Scythari, citizens smashed their holoscreens, terrified by human war footage replayed on every channel. Some fled underground bunkers. Others gathered in temples, chanting prayers to forgotten gods, begging for mercy. On the industrial moons of the track, riots broke out. Workers shouted in panic, "We cannot fight them. We cannot stand against the humans." Ships overloaded with refugees fled to the edges of the galaxy, away from human space. Even mighty empires felt the tremor. The proud Vec Dominion, with a fleet spanning thousands of systems, locked down its borders. Its generals met in secret. One slammed his fist on the table. "If they are the Ancient Ones, then war is inevitable. We must strike first, before they awaken fully." But another whispered, trembling, "Strike first? Did you not see the Erebus? That was only one ship. If more like it exist, our fleets will burn." Silence followed. Fear became obsession. Spies were sent into Sol space, desperate to uncover human secrets. Some never returned. Those who did came back pale and shaking. "They are building more ships," one spy reported. "Bigger ones hidden in oceans, mountains, deserts, factories that run day and night." Another choked on his words. "I saw a fleet under the ice. Hundreds of black warships waiting, sleeping, my lord. They are not preparing for defense, they are preparing for conquest." The council fell into despair, but not everyone panicked. Some saw opportunity. The shattered Dravari, humiliated in their defeat, began spreading lies. They whispered that humans had found ancient alien technology, that they were thieves, not ancients. Yet even as they spoke, their people trembled at the memory of laughing human pilots who fought without fear. Other worlds sought to ally with humans. Small species sent envoys, begging Earth for protection. "If you are the ancient ones, shield us, save us," they pleaded. But humans gave no answer. They only smiled. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was divided. Not by empire, not by trade, not by war, but by a single question. What do the humans want? Inside the Erebus, Admiral Kane stood before his officers. The room was silent as he pointed to the galaxy map glowing before them. Countless empires, fleets, and systems pulsed in red light. "They are panicking," he said quietly. "Some want to destroy us. Others want to serve us. All of them fear us." A young officer shifted nervously. "Sir, should we reveal our full fleet? Show them the truth?" Kane shook his head. "No. Let them fear the unknown. Fear is a weapon, sharper than any blade. The more they imagine, the stronger we become." His words carried through the chamber like steel. Back in the council, desperation grew. "We must unite," cried one ambassador. "If we do not, humanity will devour us, one by one." But unity was impossible. Old grudges between empires resurfaced. Distrust poisoned every alliance. Even as they spoke of fear, many secretly thought, "Better the humans strike my neighbor than me." The galaxy began to fracture. On a quiet colony far from Earth, an alien child looked up at the stars. His mother whispered stories of the ancient ones, of how they once fought wars that shook the heavens. "Will they hurt us, Mama?" the child asked. The mother hesitated, then sighed. "They smile too much, and those who smile in war are the most dangerous of all." The panic reached its peak when an unmarked human transmission appeared on council networks. No one knew how it had been sent. It bypassed every firewall, every lock, every barrier. The message was simple. A human face appeared. Calm, cold, smiling. "We hear your whispers. We know your fear. You promised to protect us. But remember this." The voice paused. The silence felt like a blade against every throat. "It is not we who need protection. It is you." Then the screen went black. Billions of aliens froze where they stood. Some wept. Some screamed. Some simply sat in silence. Realizing the truth, the ancient ones were not coming. They were already here, and the galaxy's time was running out. The human smile. The galaxy held its breath. Every world, every empire, every soldier and citizen waited for what the humans would do next. For weeks, no human fleet appeared. No wars were declared. Earth was quiet, and that silence was more terrifying than any weapon. In the council chamber, leaders argued in desperation. "We cannot allow them to grow unchecked. They are already grown. Do you not see it? They were never children. If we unite our fleets, perhaps we can crush them, now before it's too late." But deep inside, none of them truly believed it. They had seen the Erebus burn through entire armadas. They had heard the stories of hidden fleets under Earth's oceans and ice. And most of all, they had seen the human smile. That smile haunted them. It was the smile of predators who knew they did not need to fight, because victory was already theirs. Far from the council's debates, in the black void of space, the truth finally revealed itself. Across hidden bases and buried vaults, doors opened. Oceans split as titanic shapes rose from the waves. Ice cracked as colossal ships broke free from their frozen prisons. Desert sands shifted as underground silos opened to the stars. Humanity's fleets emerged, one after another. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. Silent, black, predatory ships spread across the void like a storm. Each larger, more advanced, more brutal than the last. fleet so vast that entire star systems flickered in their shadows. For centuries, humanity had hidden them, built them, perfected them. And now, they were awake. Alien worlds screamed in panic. Some begged for peace. Others prepared for war. But before any move could be made, a transmission came. Every screen, every starship, every device flickered to life with the same image. A human commander stood in the center of the frame. His uniform was plain, his face calm, his eyes steady. And then, he smiled. That same quiet, unsettling smile that had haunted the galaxy since the Council's promise. "Do you understand now?" he asked softly. "You promised to protect us. But you never asked why we let you. You thought we were weak. You thought we were children. You thought wrong." His voice did not rise. It did not need to. Every word cut through the galaxy like a blade. "We are not the ones who need protection. We never were. It is you who should fear." Behind him, through the viewport, the black silhouettes of human dreadnoughts filled the sky. Dozens, hundreds. Their engines glowed like the eyes of predators waiting to strike. In the council chamber, delegates shook in terror. Some clutched at their chests. Others sank into their chairs, trembling. "Ancient Ones," whispered one. "It was true," another gasped. "They have returned," a third muttered. "And there is nothing we can do." On alien streets, citizens cried out, "Will they destroy us?" But the humans gave no answer, only silence, only that smile. The silence was worse than war, because in that silence, every empire imagined its own end. Every general saw their fleets burning. Every world saw itself falling under the shadow of human warships. The galaxy realized something far more terrible than invasion. Humans didn't need to fight. Fear alone had already won them the war. On Earth, Admiral Kane watched the transmission end. Around him, officers stood quietly. "Do we strike?" one asked, voice low. Kane shook his head slowly. "No, not yet." "Then what? Is our command?" The Admiral's eyes never left the stars. His expression was calm. His smile faint. "Let them wonder," he said. "Let them fear. The galaxy has forgotten who we are. But now, they will remember." For months after, no human fleet attacked. No empire dared provoke them again. Trade slowed. Borders closed. Entire regions of space froze in silence, waiting, watching, fearing. And still the humans smiled. In the end, the Council's promise was forgotten. History would not remember the day the galaxy offered to protect Earth. History would remember the day humanity smiled back, and the galaxy realized it was already too late. The Ancient Ones had returned, and their smile was the sharpest weapon of all.